These lights cost a small fortune. Is it smart lighting or is it just overpriced gaming lights? Well, today's video, we're going to be installing them, so let's find out. First off, I'm readjusting the wiring at the light switch to send a permanent live up to the bathroom light.
So the switches we're using today are Retro Touch, which are friends of Few. And before you say it, no, we're not actually sponsored by them in this video. These are just the ones the customer supplied.
This switch is going to replace this switch. This is going to connect to the Philips Hue lights. It's all wireless. So what we want to do, remove this switch off the wall. The neutrals are already going up to the light. Where you had your commons and then your switch lines, they've all been linked out, so now the switch lines are permanent. They'll just get chucked in the back of the box. This will screw on there, and then our light fitting will be permanent, and then the customer can turn it on and off by their phone or via the switch. Luckily, on this new build, we had 2-plate wiring, which means we had the feed at the switch. But if we had 3-plate wiring, which is the feed at the light fitting, the connections would have been different. Alright, the light we're fitting is the Philips Hue Zamento, Shamento, Camento, Experimentio, whatever this light's called. This is the bathroom version from the other lights that we're fitting throughout this house. Pillowcase, take that back, a bit of bedding. All that big light, and you literally just screw that to the ceiling and away you go in that. Cut your grommet, pull the cable through and mount the plate to the ceiling.
Meanwhile, I'm still wrestling with the switch. All finished now. I'm quite impressed with the look and finish of this product.
If you're fixing into plasterboard, you want to be using the correct fixings. So here I'm using whirlies, also known as pigtails, cavity screws, plasterboard fixings. Let me know in the comments below what you call them. I'm just pre-drilling with a screw just so the whirly has a guide to go into the plasterboard. Alright, so I was just about to screw the base of the light up with the screws, and the hole in the base is actually bigger than that, and I see a little envelope in the pack, so look inside it. They actually supply you with some little washers, and they'll just hold it up and stop it falling through. Be sure to keep them safe rather than throwing them away.
Come on guys, I don't spend 12 grand a year for you to be using rubbish power tools.
Sorry Jordan. While I'm finishing this light, it's nice to see Luke's keeping himself entertained.
Should have sack races like we did in primary school with these Philips Hue. Actually,
Yeah.
your legs would fit in those. We could actually do it.
Right, so this is actually fairly heavy because it's got everything inside, all the control gear, but thankfully it comes with a small wire which you can hook on, and then that can hold and take nearly, that can hold and take the weight for you while you're connecting. Okay, so some people might have spotted this actually fell off, not the light, but as I was about to screw this up, there's like a double clip. So before I just had it on there, and that can easily slide out. So what you want to do, you want to feed it through onto the top one and then wrap round onto the second, and that will just secure it better.
It's not as easy as it looks.
I think it's just a knack to it. There's like a raised bit, so it only goes one way.
Yeah.
There we go. Now it's installed, you can see it's got a nice light to it, and it even uplights onto the ceiling, which is a nice feature. So this is just the other ensuite, opposite side, same thing. Take that light down, put the Philips Hue one up, link out the switch so that's permanent, and the only additional thing in here is we're going to take a feed from the shaver for a mirror light. Next I'm going to be installing this panel light, which is going to give off a nice amount of light onto the craft table, which will be placed below. Not only does this one come with a nice sleeping bag, also comes with some egg crates. If you're going to want to install this light yourself, first you want to remove the 4 screws around the base. Okay, so this comes with one of these horrible little connectors, which a lot of lights made in retail shops sell lights with these sort of terminals. And basically it's just to keep it class 2, so this little double square down here that's showing us a class 2 fitting, and to keep it class 2 you're supposed to bring your cable into here. You don't need to earth the metalwork on this. Usually I like to just get rid of these and just run an earth to the metalwork anyway, but it might be a bit hard on this fitting seeing as it unclicks from this, so I might try and squeeze it in there. We're just discussing what way we're going to put this long light fitting. Usually when you walk in you do it sort of with the length of the room, but in this case they're actually going to be fitting a table here and they want a light above it, so we're going to be sticking the light long way so you get the most amount of light onto the table. What I'll do is I'll laser down the middle, make sure it's all nice, and then it's just a case of fitting this bracket up, which is nice because it's not too big, and then the larger light fitting just clicks into this. If you're going to be doing it yourself, then please safely isolate, but please don't do it yourself. Alright, so I've took the light down, so what I want to do now is I just want to get the centre of the room, make a couple of marks, and then I can stick my laser down so I know when I stick the base up, the light's going to be perfectly in line with the room. Oh, here we go, spot the mistake. 181. I'm not going to get angry. So just line your laser up with the 2 marks you've made on the ceiling. And it was at this moment I spotted my mistake from earlier. Just moving it a fraction over because I just realised when I measured on the floor, this butted up against the skirting, so you've actually got 30 mil by the time you add both the skirtings together, so it actually wants to just come over a little bit. Whoever put the last light up didn't go central anyway, so I just want to make sure I'm sort of bang on. So I was about to stick the bracket up, but I wanted to get the cable central, and it makes sense why they didn't go centre of the room now, because there's actually a joist here, so I'll have to move the laser and just do the same as what they did. Can only try. By marking the centre of the light fitting, what I can do is line this up with the laser. That's alright, so them two will hit into the joist, so we have a nice solid fixing on it. Alright, so you might have noticed I've not actually put a grommet on here, but I don't know if you can see this lip of metal. It's like a extra bit they've added, and it's got a curve, it's quite smooth, so there's no reason to stick one on there really. This actually comes with a couple of carabiners, so I can actually just clip this on and it's taking the weight while I'm doing the wiring. I'm actually going to use this stupid connection for once, so what I'm doing is just measuring what I need to go through the rubber gasket into the terminals. Right, so I decided to leave this on. I usually just cut them off and Wago it, but in this instance it's an expensive fitting. I didn't want to void the warranty. You definitely don't want to void your warranty. Void the warranty, did I just say? Void the warranty. So I've left that on, just brung the earth back out the top and stuck that on a Wago, just if anyone needs it for testing purposes or anything. So now I can get this hooked up and we can get it turned on, paired on with a switch, and see how it looks. Right, so now that light's done, I'm gonna get the switch off and I'm gonna put the Retro Touch one on. Basically, you can see they've fed the switch, so you've got your earth and neutral up at the light. We just want to put all these lights together because you've got your feed in, your feed out, and then we're now going to make the switch line a permanent up to the light, so that will constantly be fed and it will be turned on and off wirelessly. Alright, so I nearly forgot, so don't make the same mistake as me. These 4 screws want to go back in the base to stop anyone unclipping it. So I'll get them in now.
While Lee's been left with installing all these fancy fittings worthy of Instagram, I've been left with this Shelly 2.5. It's the first time ever installing one of these, and hopefully it'll be the last. It was a nightmare from start to finish. Here I'm pre-cutting some cables to link the Shelly module to the fan isolator. And no, I didn't need to look at the previous photo of the one I installed. So because he's upgraded his whole house, he's doing all the lighting so he can turn them on and off remotely with his iPad and things like that. He also wants to do the same on the extractor. Right, so basically this is the supply to the isolator and this is going off to the fan. And what we're doing basically is sticking this. We're actually sticking it before, he's asked for it to go before. So it feeds into this first and then feeds into this, and that way you can switch off remotely or with your iPad via this, but you can also still turn it on and off safely with this, so this will still work. Back to Lee and his Instagram worthy content.
I'm glad Luke's doing the Shelly because this mirror is going to look sick on Instagram.
Right, so basically to make it a little bit easier, I'm just going to first fix what needs to go into these terminals here first. Instead of me going right up ceiling height and doing it, I'm just going to first fix them into here and then join them onto the cables that are existing up there. As I'm winding this up, it did cross my mind, is this all going to fit?
So for the mirror to work, we need to get power to it. So I'm chasing out a back box behind the mirror and I'm going to get a feed from the shaver point through this wall. This is dot and dab wall, this is a partition wall. So I can get to the corner, I've got to get through this bit of stud and then I can fish behind the dot and dab to the box. So I've not had to cut all that, I can rub that off and then just fill the corner in. So shouldn't be too bad.
Right, so annoyingly, I hoped it would have fit all inside there, but it's just a bit too tight. So what we're going to do is we're going to put this double back box on, keep that as the centre still, and just cut it out. That way the receiver can fit in one side and all the rest of the cable in the other. So some of you may have already noticed what else I'm also doing wrong here. How many of you have done this before? Please say I'm not the only one. How have I got that? Oh, it's more than a double. That's more than a double. It's actually slightly longer because of the gap in the middle. So yeah, a bit stupid, but I'll put it up and we'll see it's nowhere near big enough. Take 2. So yeah, if you just mark out a double box, it'll fit perfectly first time.
So now the box is in the wall, it's just a case of getting the cable from A to B. Oh, let's hit a little bit of dab. Stupid plasters. Oh, look at that. I always like to take my pencil case with me and carry my rubber, so always rub your pencil marks off the wall. So once the cables are all run, it's just a case of reconnecting it all back together. I knew that pillowcase would come in handy. Mirror's all done, time for that Instagram post.
After seeing Lee's mirror, I don't think this will be making the Instagram.
So at the beginning of the video, I said, are these smart lights or are they just overpriced gaming lights? Well, after fitting them and having to play around with them, seeing how they work, I think they are very smart, and the way you can connect them up with the Friends of Hue switches seems to work really well. But you can also use them for gaming lights if you want, so best of both worlds really.